And a TGIF, everyone. Welcome into our weekly Friday First Call podcast. For First Bet, that's Jeff Siegel. I'm Jeremy Plonk. Those of you who watch us each and every week and listen on our audio podcast channels, you know the routine. For those of you checking in inside the friendly confines of the first Pegasus World Cup Wager Guide, we thank you for joining us. Hopefully you'll join us each and every week. We handicap 8 stakes races around the country on this podcast each Friday, and Jeff, we've got 7 of them at Gulfstream Park for Pegasus World Cup Day on Saturday, so we've got a heavy focus of South Florida.
And the good news is that many of these big stakes race days that we see around the country, they're big days where they have 5, 6, 7, 8 stakes races. A lot of them have short price favorites, stand out, small fields. They're good races from a quality standpoint, but not necessarily good gambling races. This card at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, the Pegasus World Cup card, is unlike most of them. There are some excellent, superior wagering opportunities, price horses that I think have very good chances. So I can't wait. It not only high quality racing, but high quality gambling opportunities. Fantastic card. Kudos to the racing office down at Gulfstream Park. I can't wait to dive in and do some handicapping and then get down and dirty tomorrow.
Be sure to check out that first Pegasus World Cup Wager Guide. It is available now with handicappers all across the first family. Go to the main platforms on your app or on the website versions. The web versions of both websites will give you links into the Wager Guide for the first Pegasus World Cup Wager Guide, with information in there for myself, Jeff, Eddie Olczyk, Millie Ball, Zoe Cadman, the handicappers down at Gulfstream, Samantha Perry, Brian Natto, all the handicappers across the first family checking in for their opinions. And we also have the First Bet Artificial Intelligence. It's picking an upset winner in the Pegasus World Cup. You'll have to go to the Wager Guide to check that out. Free to access. Be sure to check out that Wager Guide in our 8th year, because this is Pegasus World Cup number 8. Okay, let's give you the lineup of stakes races that we will handicap here for the benefit of those you watching. Be sure to hit the like button and the follow, and get us some more followers for our First Call podcast if you're on our video channels. If you're listening in on our audio channels, here are the races that we will handicap for Saturday, January 27th. We'll start off with the La Previante at Gulfstream Park. We'll go to the McKnight, then the inside information, the Pegasus World Cup Filly Mare Turf, renewed for the 3rd time. Then we'll have the Fred W. Hooper, which is also our Express Bet Race of the Week this week, Pegasus World Cup Turf, and the Pegasus World Cup. Those are our 7 races from Gulfstream, and we always do 8, so let's round it off at Santa Anita for the San Pasqual local leading prep towards the Santa Anita Handicap coming up in March. What a huge weekend for tournament players at Express Bet, on track at Gulfstream this weekend. Fantastic lineup. You can get involved today with the final qualifier. It's a super low ratio qualifier for tomorrow's Pegasus World Cup Betting Championship. It's a $1,000 tournament today, but if you qualify in there, the super low ratio qualifier means it's based on the number of players who play in the tournament today. So more people are going to get into tomorrow by percentage than you would in most other tournaments. Some lower level $40 feeders at Santa Anita offered on Friday and Sunday this week. And be sure to check out that Express Bet Beat the Host competition that comes up on Saturday this week. And the guy you're going to take on is the guy in the co-host chair today, Jeff Siegel. 19th annual Beat the Host handicapping contest continues. It's week 4 tomorrow. Play the last 5 races on the card at Gulfstream, the first 5 races on the card at Santa Anita. If your total beats Jeff Siegel's, you'll qualify for the championship coming up the 2nd week of March. Play for more than $60,000 in prizes each week for the season, and play for $2,000 in weekly prizes in Express Bet Beat the Host. Looking forward to having Jeff involved in that one. And of course, Saturday is the big one in terms of handicapping tournaments, Jeff. Pegasus World Cup Betting Challenge, one of the biggest high money tournaments. You've got like the NHC and the Pegasus World Cup Betting Challenge, the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge. These are like the big 3 in the tournament scene with the most money on the line. So good luck to players taking part in that. You can play it online through Express Bet. You don't have to travel all the way to Florida to do so. But if you are in Florida, of course, for Pegasus World Cup Day, playing that World Cup Championship, betting championship, one of the highlights of the tournament scene for the year. So let's talk handicapping. Let's try to get some winners on these Saturday cards, specifically at Gulfstream Park. First post 11 a.m. for Pegasus World Cup Day, 13 race card. The first of those big stakes races that we will look at Race number 6, midway on the day. It's the La Previante, named for one of the great turf mares. 1.5 miles on the grass, as it should be. Jeff, how do you see this one shaking out?
I only see 2 contenders, and I think that those are the 2 that are going to get most of the play on the tote. Romagna Mia on the rail, she's 8-5 on the morning line. Our Callie Kim is 9-5, and I think you would be pretty safe if you're playing any kind of rolling exotics to use just those 2. I mean, there's a few others in here that have credentials to run well, but the way these 2 have developed in recent races they have a chance to make some serious money in these marathon races. There aren't that many of them, but if you can do it and do it the way Romagna Mia and our Callie Kim have been doing it, you're going to do some good work this year. Our Callie Kim, I put her on top. She's won 4 in a row. Look at her record since the layoff, Jeremy. She was off from July 3rd of 22 to July of 23, and she's a way better raceman now at age 7 than she's ever been. She was running for $25,000 before, but now she's top class. And not only is she winning her races and good races, I mean, and she won the Long Island last time out, but she's doing it by daylight, which you don't usually see in grass races. Romagna Mia is a former Italian race mare, and she's gotten good as well. Won the Dowager at Keeneland, Jeremy, at Keeneland, and did that at the 1.5-mile distance. Came back and tried the all-weather and handled that easily. They're both good. I ended up going with our Callie Kim. I could be talked into the other one just as easily, but I wouldn't feel safe playing any kind of rolling exotics without, unfortunately, doubling the race. You'd like to be able to take a stand and save some money, but small ticket players, I recommend them going with our Callie Kim based on that visually very impressive win in the Long Island at Aqueduct back in mid-November.
Our Callie Kim is loaded with nowhere to go right now in 5th, is going to look for an opening as Vergara has now kicked on. It's Vergara who's in front. What Love Looks Like is ready to challenge, and our Callie Kim has got clear running room now, and she is just launching. Look at our Callie Kim. Wow. Our Callie Kim in a flash is just striding away. This is an impressive effort. She's going to win the Long Island. Our Callie Kim wins it. Our Callie Kim gets it.
Big time performance there. Now you've got the 2 favorites in there, Jeff. Not much in the exacta world when you're looking at 2 shorter priced horses. They're both come from behind styles. So maybe if you're going to split them in the exacta, you do it with a horse who's got a little bit of pace about him. And sometimes these 1.5-mile races will just kind of canter for the first 1 3/16 or so, 1.25 miles, and then pick up the last 1/4 mile plus. So I would say if you're going to try to split those 2, maybe Alpha Bella or Task, the 2 horses that look to be the front runners in the field, would be take one of those horses maybe to hold on and split the exacta, unless you're going to take the short price exacta intra race. But I would think Alpha Bella, Task, 2 horses who should be forwardly placed in here, could last and live it for second in the exacta. The 2 most likely horses, like you said, to win the race are obviously the 2 favorites in here. But if you don't like exactas that come back $9, $10, $11 and you want to try to get a little bit more, then I think Alpha Bella, Task, maybe 2 to throw in there for the exacta. Let's move our attention next to the WL McKnight. This is the brother race to the sister La Previante, 1.5 miles on the turf for the fillies and mares in the 6th. It's the Colts and Geldings who get to step up at that 12 furlong trip in race number 8. The William L. McKnight grade 3 race here for a purse of $200,000. Jeff, who do you pick in this one?
This race, the first thing that jumps off the page in this race is the lack of pace. I mean, they are really going to be crawling the first part. In handicapping this race, that's the first thing I look for. Is like, okay, it's a marathon. It really doesn't matter that much how fast the pace is, but it does sometimes. And in looking at Cellist, who is 12-1, and again, when you handicap these races, price is a major component on who you might end up playing. And Cellist, even though he has not won a race since the Louisville at Churchill Downs at 1.5 miles way back in May of 2022. He's actually has some good recent form, and I think he is going to find himself right on or near the lead. He's good enough to take advantage of that kind of trip. He ran well last time out at Turfway on the all-weather, but he's just as good on grass. He doesn't win all that much, 3 out of 19 with 9 seconds and thirds total, so that's 50 yards or so. You're going to be holding your breath if he's where I think he's going to be. Right. But again, at the price, I'm going to gamble on Cellist. There's a few others in here that you can make a case for. I was actually impressed with Francesco Clementi's race here at Del Mar when he ran in the Hollywood Turf Cup. Got beat a neck, was given too much to do, flew home, ran out of room. Before that, he was a good allowance winner at Aqueduct. He's acclimating very well for Chad Brown. And I mentioned Chad Brown because I didn't check the results yesterday. I didn't get around to doing it. So I don't know if he won a race yesterday. But last we checked, he was 0 for 26, which is bad. But it's not as bad as having 20 out of the 26 finishing off the board. So it's not only he's not winning, they're not running at all. So I don't know if that's just one of these streaks or whether something's going on that I don't know about. But you got to back off just a little bit, don't you, Jeremy?
Well, especially when they're shorter prices. And Francesco Clementi with Irad Ortiz is going to be an underlay with Irad up on top of it, So I think you've got to avoid the brown horses at shorter prices until proven otherwise. He also has Stone Age in this race, Rock Emperor. So he's got 3 of the 12 in here. I'm Chad Brown off until proven otherwise. And again, because they're not going to get let go at big overlay prices, especially when he's got the A-list riders like Irad aboard. So that's the WL McKnight. You've got Chellis in there. And folks, don't turn your nose up at that race at Turfway last time and think that, he should have won that day shipping to Turfway. Wolfie's Dynaghost, who won that race, is probably the best synthetic horse in America. He takes ranks. He is really, really good on the synthetic. So getting beat in a photo to Wolfie's Dynaghost was actually a really good effort by Chellis last time. That's a stronger company line at Turfway than you might expect.
Not only that, Jeremy, but this was his 19th start in that race. And in that race, even though he didn't win it, he earned a 99 bar number, which is a career top. So Chellis really did run well in that race for sure. He was 4 lengths and plus clear of everybody else. Maybe he's always been a synthetic horse, and now he's back on grass. But he's been a pretty good grass horse too. So anyway, again, 12-1. That's what I'm going for.
Next up in our handicapping journey, we go to the Inside Information Stakes, named for the great Breeders' Cup Distaff winner for Shug McGahee, won by the length of the stretch in the Breeders' Cup back in her day. This is a 7-furlong Grade 2 sprint for $200,000. It'll be race number 9 on the card, the Inside Information. That'll get us started in a late pick 5, too, that will cap in the 13th race on the program, which is the Pegasus World Cup. And it's part of the $20,000 hit and splits that we've got for you with Express Bet and First Bet on the Pegasus World Cup card. $20,000 in additional money to what you make in pari-mutuels. We added to just the winners at First Bet and Express Bet who play on the app. So this $5,000 late pick 5 hit and split begins here in race number 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 make up that late pick 5. So check that out. There are 2 middle pick 4s. So if you're looking at that graphic and you say it only adds up to 18,000, pick 4 hit and splits in the middle. They've added another pick 4 in the middle of the card at Gulfstream Park. So there is just a plethora of rolling exotics throughout the course of the day. And you'll definitely want to play them with First Bet and Express Bet. Also, too, Jeff, if you don't like to play the multi-race wagers, or maybe you're kind of a more conservative bettor, there's a $20 money back special on the big 3 Pegasus races when you bet with First Bet and Express Bet. So in the Philly Mare Turf, the Turf, and the World Cup, if you bet up to $20 to win, you get that back if your horse finishes second or third. So plenty of great opportunities to bet on Saturday with First Bet and Express Bet and at Gulfstream Park. The Inside Information, race number 9, again, starts that all stakes late pick 5 with the $5,000 hit and split. We've got a filly in here, Mary Quite Contrary, who knows Gulfstream well. She is a specialist here, and she was victorious last time out in the Rampart. Let's take a look at that, and you'll tell us if they can beat her this time.
Dreaming of Snow is still the target through 3/4 and 113 flat. Amonra is second. These two kick off the corner. Loose for the drive is Mary Quite Contrary. There's an 1/8 of a mile to go. Dreaming of Snow digs in. Amonra next, and down the center, Mary Quite Contrary tries to pick him up. 16th to go. Amonra's in front. Mary Quite Contrary, unstoppable. She'll get up to win it and wins by half a length in the end over Amonra.
So Mary Quite Contrary, it doesn't matter who the trainer is. They seem to change trainers out faster than most of us change T-shirts, but she was a winner last time for Eddie Plisa. He's got her back again this time. And at Gulfstream Park, Jeff, look at that record. Is there a better horse for course record than 9 starts, 7 wins, 2 seconds?
Especially when you consider the company that she's running against in those 9 races. And not only that, but as good as she is at Gulfstream Park, she's just about as good, if not better, at this 7-furlong distance. 8 starts, 4 wins in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And when I talked at the top of this the show about contentious races, I mean she's 2-1, but there are 4 or 5 others that I would be scared to death of in this race if, in fact, I was playing a pick 3 or a pick 4. I couldn't single Mary Quite Contrarian, although I defaulted to her as my top selection simply because I can't dismiss her consistency and her genuine performances. The other thing is when she won the mile race at the Rampart, as she is a devout closer, she has no tactical speed, and they didn't go fast, and she still was able to tag the speed late. You figure going 7/8 of a mile, they'd go a little quicker, and that would help her, and I think it does. But there's some nice horses here. Intrepid Daydream got beat in the Sugar Swirl, but she's fast on figs, and you talk about consistency. First or second, 11 out of 14. Came down from Laurel, got beat, but ran really well. That was a good race for sure. Jerry Mander's got some form and some numbers that are really, really competitive. She's coming out of the Go for One, faded in that race, but that was a muddy track race. So I mean, I wouldn't be comfortable. And then even a mare on the outside named Olivia Darling is going to get a great stalking trip. She's right there with these off her best day, prior win at Gulfstream Park. So good race. I'm going to go with my Mary Quite Contrary because I know I just believe she is going to lay her body down because she always does. And she's probably going to have enough pace to set things up for her. And look at her record. But it's a tough race. It's a really, really good edition of the Inside Information.
Right, you mentioned the pace there. I mean, there are 4, maybe 5 horses in this field that want to be pretty forward in here. And so I think she will get the setup. And when the best horse gets the right pace setup, they rarely give away that kind of advantage. And she's on the track and the distance that she likes. So no excuses for Mary Quite Contrary unless somebody just runs an outstanding race in front of her and she can never get to them. But there should be some company up towards the front in this one. Luca Panici, no matter how many times they change the trainer, he keeps them out because he has done absolutely nothing wrong aboard her. But with trainer changes like that in ad nauseum, you would think maybe somewhere along the line somebody would want to go to their A rider, but Luca Panici just fits her so well. Good to see him keep the mount on her in the Inside Information. Next up, we go to race number 10 on the card. It's the first of the 3 tri-features on Pegasus World Cup Day. This is the Pegasus World Cup Filly and Mare Turf. This race renewed for the 3rd time, $500,000, $500,000 here for grade 2 company, a mile and a 16th on the grass. And Jeff, we've got the defending champ Queen Goddess. She's back in post number 8. We have Star Fortress coming off a spectacular win at Churchill Downs in the Cardinal at 5-2 in post number 4. And then you've got the morning line favorite in this, you've got Star Fortress as the morning line favorite. You've got Fluffy Socks. You've got Didia. This is a deep field in here. How do you see it shaking out in the Filly and Mare Turf?
What a good race. I mean, this looks like one of those old Beverly D stakes we had back in the 80s and the 90s where you get the Euros show up. I mean, this is a Breeders' Cup level type of race, I believe. Minus the Euros, but because you look at Star Fortress and you figure if you watch the Cardinal, the stakes she won at Churchill, and she earned a 104 Beyer speed figure, which would win quite a few Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf races. You figure, where did this come from? Because you look at her form, and she was maybe not even a grade 3 type of runner there, and all of a sudden she pops up and wins like King Kong. So I mean, I don't know whether I trust that race or not. I want to see her do it again. Also, Churchill over good ground going a mile and an eighth with slow fractions is not even remotely close to what she's going to be facing here, where they're going to bust out and run fast, early, mid, and late. So my gamble is against Star Fortress, even though if I'm playing a rolling pick 3, I'm probably going to throw her in somewhere just in case. But for me, Ruby Nell, I mean, she looks to me like she has the possibility of being this year's in Italian. I mean, she is so good. This was her breeze not too long ago, the 19th, 58-4. She's never even been that good of a worker. That's the crazy thing about it. And yet she works in 58 and change. She's just gliding here. She's relaxed. I mean, she looks like she's going in 102, Jeremy. I mean, it's just amazing. And yet, she's just galloping along. She's a turf horse working on dirt. She's coming off just a terrific win against nobody, but she did look great doing it. She outran Anna Sett 3 races back just destroyed her. Nobody beats her except like Ruby Dell did. Newly turned 4-year-old. I mean, if she was an older mare or something, whatever, she's not even close to being how good I think she's going to be this year.
Yeah.
And she doesn't need the lead to win. Now, I think Richard Mandela was quoted as saying they want to go with her that they're just going to kill themselves off. You know, they can if they want. It's not going to affect her. With it, Frankie Dettori riding her, she's 8-1. Jeremy, I mean, I don't know where I can. I mean, I don't care if she wins or loses. I'm telling you, 8-1. I'm not going to get many gambles like that. I don't care who she's running with in this race. And there are some nice ones. Diddy is a nice mare. Fluffy Socks is a nice mare. Queen Goddess is training well, too. She won this race. What a great race.
Absolutely.
So I like Ruby Nell.
Let's take a look at that last race for Ruby Nell in the Lady of Shamrock at Santa Anita.
Ruby Nell and Edwin Maldonado, they've been in charge throughout. 2-length lead coming to the quarter pole with Princess Patina in second. Anna Caro is down at the rail. Cleekish losing ground. Justique on the move now. She swings into action as they come to the furlong pole, and Ruby Nell with a 5-length lead. Justique finishing strongly into second, but Ruby Nell is not slowing down, and it's Ruby Nell, another tour de force. She is quite a filly. Ruby Nell outclasses them in the Lady of Shamrock. Justique ran well, but was second best.
Now, Jeff, you said that she looked like King Kong last time, that being Star Fortress. We also have a chance to look at her last race where she was swatting airplanes out of the sky in the stretch. Here she is in the Cardinal.
And Star Fortress switches to the far outside. They're off the turn. Walkathon cut the corner. Saffron Moon traveling well. These two head and head for the lead. Star Fortress is rocketing down the top of the turf. And here comes Star Fortress from last to first in the blink of an eye. Star Fortress just like that. In front by 7. Oh, she's running away from them. Star Fortress like a rocket down the turf today.
What will we see on Saturday? Could be dynamic fireworks up front with Ruby Nell, Star Fortress late, Queen Goddess trying to get that same trip she got last year when she kind of sat, pounced, and went on to win. Should be a fantastic edition of the Pegasus Filly and Mare Turf, the 3rd edition of that race. It's going to kick off the all stakes late pick 4. Again, another hit and split in there to talk about for the late pick 4 of $5,000. So check that out on Saturday, the Pegasus World Cup Filly and Mare Turf. Let's go to race 11 next on the card. This is going to be the Fred W. Hooper Stakes. It's our express bet race of the week. We try to get you a different race than what we have in the wager guide. You're saying, why in the world with a $3 million race is the race of the week? The $100,000 Hooper Grade 3 event, $150,000, because we've got you covered in the Pegasus World Cup wager guide for all the big races. So head to the wager guide for that. A little extra coverage in our race of the week email newsletters. So I took on the Fred W. Hooper, the 1 mile race here. Jeff Hijazi, one of the horses from Southern California, who will make a road trip in this one. We saw this horse go to Keeneland for the Lafayette and run pretty well on the road back in the spring of 2023. Tries the road trip for the 2nd career time. What do you make of Hijazi? $3.5 million runner who hasn't lived up to that price tag to this point, but really hasn't done a whole lot wrong either. He's just kind of waiting for a breakout kind of race.
I mean, I've known Hijazi. I've watched him ever since he made his debut at Del Mar back in August of 2022. And here's my take on Hijazi. I think he's got a world of talent. You know, you don't give that kind of money in a 2-year-old sale unless he previewed pretty well. He works like a top-class horse, but I've never really kind of forgiven him for getting beat in his debut at 2-5. And he always strikes me as a horse who, while he is absolutely brilliant and looks great as he does in this 59-2 workout, slow as he could hold him. I mean, he could have on at 57. He's not real brave when he gets into a fight, if you know what I mean. I mean, like, he got beat by Speedboat Beach, which in the Malibu, which is, you know, nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But when they went head and head at the 8th pole, I knew Speedboat Beach was going to outgut Hijazi. I just knew it. You know, I'd seen it happen, and that's what happened. Hijazi did stay on nicely and was 3 clear of everybody else. He's back-to-back 99 buyer numbers. He's had a triple-digit buyer number, so it's not like he's not fast on numbers. The thing is about Hijazi is if you look him in the eye, the good news is if you look him in the eye, you can beat him, but you better be good.
Mhm.
Because if you're not really, really good, then he's going to beat you. And
Right.
I don't think anybody in here can look him in the eye. That's the problem. I'm looking at this field. These are some really nice horses, to be sure. I mean, I'm not downgrading them, but pace situation looks pretty soft here. And I just think he's going to be where he needs to be. And I think Pratt's going to keep going. He's 8-5. It's not a great gamble. He has to leave from the rail. I guarantee you that if he doesn't and gets dirt in his face, he's going to have every excuse not to run. But I think if he breaks sharp from the rail, I just think he's going to daylight the field and get brave doing it.
Yeah, Expressman in the 2 really kind of holds the linchpin there. If he can go with him and he's right on him, then you've got a horse race. Like you said, look him in the eye. If he outbreaks Expressman easily, then they could all be running for second money in there. I thought a horse worth a shot in here at a price was Tumba Roomba. A lot of times you have to be a forgiving handicapper to get a price, right? That's how you get a price. If horses are doing everything right, you're not going to find a price. Look at Tumba Roomba's 1-turn races. The last 5 times this horse has run around 1 turn on a fast track, 4 wins in a second. There are a lot of races that are a little bit farther and some off tracks that you could be forgiving of not his best. So when Tumba Roomba runs around 1 turn, he's out of a street sense mare. We've often seen these street sense horses, 7 furlongs, a 1-turn mile, be, really good in terms of, his sire line and his progeny. I think Tumba Roomba's got a shot in here, and Brian Lynch is just absolutely, spectacular at this meet, winning 35%. Everything he sends out on the track has just been fantastic with, more than a dozen winners already at the session. So I gave Tumba Roomba a shot in here as the upset pick for me. But Hijazi is absolutely the horse to beat. We will see how that shakes out when we get to the tote. Or are we going to get the price? I mean, I want about 8-1 on Tumba Roomba. I don't want to get too much lower than that. And you wonder how many people are going to bandwagon on Lynch with as strong as his stats have been at the meet if you get an underlay. If he's 9-2 or something like that, I don't know if I want him to beat Hijazi at 9-2. 6-1, 8-1 is where it's got to start. It's got to be up in that range in there.
I definitely have him as one of the horses that I would be using underneath. I think he's good enough. If Hijazi is better than the rest of these, okay, I can live with that. But Tumba Roomba, from that draw, can move where he wants to move and make that run. You pointed out his good form around 1 turn. They've been running him back and forth, really. He's one of the few Oscar performance offspring that hates turf. Figure that out.
Right.
But I think he's got a very good chance to, at a minimum, hit the board here. Yes.
Let's move to the Pegasus World Cup turf next up on our handicapping soiree throughout Gulfstream Park. It's the $2 million Cove or $1 million Cove feature. I'm trying to add $1 million. It's going to have to come out of my pocket if I say $2 million. So the $1 million Pegasus World Cup turf in here, 1 mile and an eighth. This race presented by First Bet. So we are the title sponsors of the Pegasus World Cup turf. Be sure to bet this race with First Bet, and you'll get a $20 money back special on your win bets if they finish second or third. All 3 of the big Pegasus races 10, 12, and 13, have that $20 money back special if your win bets finish second or third. So let's go to the Pegasus World Cup turf, Jeff, and look at the field. And this is a really good field. Field of 14 entered. Only 12 will start. We've got a couple also eligibles in the 13 and 14. You've got the brilliant filly from Ireland, Warm Heart. She's been a world traveler. She's the 9-5 morning line favorite. Integration, the 3-year-old last year who won all 3 career starts in style, steps up in class to take on older horses and to take on a world-class mare, but he has done absolutely nothing wrong. Those are the 2 headliners. You have a Tone back for a title defense after winning this race last year. It would be an upset if he can pull 2 in a row.
Yeah, I had this race for the betting guide, and I really got into it and watched all the video, did all the groundwork that I have to do to make the selections and do the analysis. And I actually came up with enough reasons to try to beat the favorite, even though I have a tremendous amount of respect for Warm Heart. But this is her last start. She's been all around the world. She's been, given some tough assignments, and she's performed so well. Her race against Inspiral and the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Turf was spectacular. I thought she was below form, though, in Hong Kong when she hit the front and the upper stretch and didn't put up a lot of resistance in the final stages and finished third with a fading, third, beaten more than 3 lengths. Now she's got one more race. She's also backing up in trip. It looks to me like she's a mile and a quarter type at best, and this is a mile and an eighth, and it's over a firm ground that she's going to have to quicken early, middle, and late. So I ended up going with the 3 turning 4. That's the young horse Integration, making his first start after winning a pair of graded stakes against 3-year-olds, doing it stylishly, training well for Shug McGahee, lovely inside draw, good tactical speed, the ability to the turn of foot that you need to win a race like this from the quarter pole home, and an undefeated quality road colt who brought $700,000 as a yearling. So he's always supposed to be good, and he is. And I would suggest that he will continue with the kind of trip I think he's going to get to continue his winning ways and take on the toughest assignment of his career and pass with flying colors.
His Mama Harmonize had a real nice turn of foot for Bill Mott. She was a good stakes mare. Remember her winning at Keeneland at 2 and then going on to stakes later in her career as well. Let's see Integration, who's the newcomer to this scene, getting his first chance on the big stage.
Laurel Valley has kicked. Equitize is now sprinting for home. So is Integration, and Integration is trying to fend off an I'm Very Busy who's trying to move towards the outside, but Integration is just sprinting clear. Look at this run, is drifting well out, but Integration is now opening up on this field, is well out into the turf course, but no doubt about your winner. Integration, much the best here at 4-5 in the Hill Prince.
If you're looking for a price underneath, maybe give a Tone a little look. He did well in this race last year. He's coming off a mile race. He's been running a little bit shorter in his recent starts. So even at his age 7, maybe he's not as good as he once was. But these Mike Maker horses seem to just kind of hold their form throughout their venerable years. And so I would not be surprised if that mile allowance race isn't actually a really good prep towards this. Not asking too much of him, not too demanding. Mile races are about the least demanding races there are in horse racing for these horses, because they get a reasonable pace and they just kind of quicken up over the last quarter of a mile. I wouldn't be surprised if Ocean Murphy and a Tone are able to have a little action here late and get into the mix, and could be in the certainly in the superfecta mix. But if you're trying to get up into the exactas, where you don't want Integration and Warm Heart. And honestly, I think if you think Warm Heart is vulnerable in this race, I don't think you really want to bet her second in the exacta. If she's as good as she has been, she's going to win the race probably, unless Integration is just next level, like we saw with Up to the Mark last year, a horse who was absolutely skyrocketing at the time, and was pointing out that he's going to be the best turf horse in the country. If Integration is that kind of horse, maybe he beats her on the square. But I just kind of think if Warm Heart loses, I don't want her second in the exacta either.
Right. I agree with you. I'll tell you a horse that you probably should throw in. I don't know if he's going to be 15-1 is Web Slinger. Know him from California out here. Both of his races here in the Twilight Derby, that was Breeders' Cup weekend, and then the Hollywood Derby were really good. He's got a really good turn of foot. I'm not sure if his lack of a tactical speed puts him in a position where maybe he can't get up and win. But if you're talking about exactas underneath, I mean, I would be disappointed and surprised if he doesn't make a serious run from the top of the stretch to the wire. He may be given too much to do at that stage, but again, as exacta or trifecta players at a price, I think you probably should consider Web Slinger somewhere on your ticket.
Yeah, I think you'll probably get a really fair price and a big price on him, because Edgar Zayas, the rider, is just not going to take any money in a race where this is non-Breeders' Cup Day. This is the best international jockey race I have ever seen in the United States. Ocean Murphy, you've got David Egan, you've got Ryan Moore, and you've got Frankie Dettori, all in an American race. I mean, that's unbelievable. Then you take in the American superstars and Tyler Gaffleone picking up the mount here, Eclipse Award finalist. He picks up the mount on Integration, gets back on Integration. We talked about that in our Tuesday podcast, replacing Kendrick Carmouche. You've got Irad Ortiz. You've got all the cast of characters you expect to see amongst the top American jockeys on the grass. But those 4 international riders, including 2 or 3 of the biggest names in the entire world riding in this race, this is as good as it gets in a jockey race that we've ever seen on a non-Breeders' Cup Day.
Agree. It's a great race as well. I mean, these are horses. Whoever wins this race, and I'm obviously picking Shug's horse, going to go on and win some major races. I don't know whether the winner here will take the opportunity to go overseas, whether it's Dubai or Saudi Arabia, because there's an incredible amount of money there. But if you can win a race like this, you can probably run with just about anybody this time of the year.
Let's go next to the main event, the $3 million Pegasus World Cup, run for the 8th time. We've seen horses come out of the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile and win this race. We've seen horses come out of the Breeders' Cup Classic and win this race. What we've never seen is a horse who won a Triple Crown race also win the Pegasus World Cup. National Treasure has a chance to do that. He's the name and the morning line favorite in this year's field of 13. Brian Nadeau, track morning line odds maker at Gulfstream Park, now made National Treasure the 9-5 morning line favorite from post 7. First Mission starts right next door. He's the 7-2 second choice. Jeff, I know you like Hoist the Golden here, though, a horse who's got some early speed.
Well, I'm gambling on him. I mean, he could win, he could run last, but at 12-1, I'm going to gamble that Johnny Velasquez is going to come out like a quarter horse rider and put this horse on the lead. And if he is allowed to make the lead, then 12-1 becomes good. If he can't, tear up your ticket because he's not sitting second or third behind National Treasure. That I promise you. I was interested in some of the quotes that Dallas Stewart, though, made. Of course, this is a horse that won the Cigar Mile. He won that race by 4.5 lengths. He earned a 109 buyer number, which if he could do that at 1 1/8, he'd win.
Right.
But it wasn't off track, and it was 1-turn mile. But I did go back and watch that race, and Hoist the Gold was farther in front, galloping out to the clubhouse turn than he was at the wire, so he wasn't getting tired.
No.
Even Dallas said, look, we tried him once around 2 turns. He didn't run that well. That was last year. He's a way better horse now than he was then. He's training unbelievably well at Fairgrounds. So he kind of added fuel to the fire in saying, okay, I'm going to gamble at 12-1. I've bet on a lot worse 12-1 shots than him. And yet I know that if I'm in the paddock giving instructions to Johnny V, I would say, I don't care where you finish, just don't let National Treasure get in front, because if you do, you'll never catch him, and he'll probably win. And National Treasure, if you look at his form, he's never won a race in which he didn't make the lead. And technically, I mean, theoretically, you'd say, okay, if you're Baffert, you'd say, look, that horse wants to go. He's fast. Don't go ahead and hit with him because you'll kill each other off. So just sit there. And hopefully he can't go this far. Yeah, that's true, but we've never won that way before. And we've had, it's not like, we've had 4 or 5 chances. When I've seen this horse, he sits and there's nothing.
Right.
But when he gets the lead, as he did in the Breeders' Cup Mile, he's a bear. I mean, it took the Horse of the Year to barely get by him last time out. So I don't know what to tell you on this. It's a race within a race, and it's a really spectacular race. One thing I will say about National Treasure, because of the presence of Hoist the Gold, I don't think I would take 9-5 on him. But on the other hand, if you could let me bet at the 3/4 pole, I might. I think it's too late, though.
He looked good at the 3/4 pole last time in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, but like you said, it took last night's Horse of the Year named horse, Cody's Wish, to come and get him. Let's go back to that one on Breeders' Cup Day at Santa Anita.
National Treasure has a 2-length lead here. Skippy Longstocking is second. Cody's Wish has made his way up into third, and they're into the stretch. And it's National Treasure still there. Cody's Wish in between horses. Now up into second. On the outside, it's Skippy Longstocking. Here comes Cody's Wish alongside of National Treasure. Cody's Wish takes the lead. Cody's Wish and National Treasure coming down to the line, fighting back National Treasure. Oh, Cody's Wish! Cody's Wish! I think he won it by a nose on the wire.
So fantastic race, maybe the race of the year. Probably was the race of the year.
It was,
a fantastic finish there for many, many reasons on the feel-good side of things. When we get to Saturday, though, we're not talking sentiment, and from a gambling standpoint, National Treasure at a short price to me is risky business. I think there's other pace in there, and like you said, he hasn't proved that he can shrug off other speed horses. When Baffert's got the horse for the Pegasus World Cup, he's awfully tough, but he's also brought some horses in here that were just kind of okay, and they haven't run off the screen. And I think National Treasure's closer to the okay than a star horse from a Baffert stable. A lot of people would love to have National Treasure in their barn, but if you look at the role of superstars Baffert's had over the years, National Treasure's not going to roll off the tongue with some of those. So I think he's vulnerable in this particular spot. The horse who's sitting 3rd or 4th in this race could get a pretty good first over trip if those two do lock up. Skippy Longstocking for post 12. Let's go back to the field here so people can see where these horses are starting from. Skippy Longstocking for post 12 is probably going to have to go towards the front up from that outside draw. He kind of wants to be forwardly placed anyway, but with the 12 hole, may have to go a little bit more. That leaves First Mission to me in post number 8 as kind of the horse who's going to trip out and get the best chance in here. He's going to have, 3 horses in front of him probably, and he'll get first run on some of the deep closers. We know there's some good closers in this race. Senor Buscador can come with the run. Dynamic One. O'Connor can come with a good run. Il Miracolo can come with a good run. So who gets the first, that first push on the speed horses might have the advantage in here. And that's why I lean towards First Mission in here. He's got really good Brisk late pace figures. I like the late pace figures from Brisk because they kind of tell me everybody's trying at the end of the race. What do you have left in the tank? So I kind of like late pace figures in races where I think there's going to be a setup. Mm-hmm. He's got really good ones. Senor Buscador has really good Brisk late pace figures, but he's going to be coming from a lot farther back. And Gulfstream Park, typically deep closers don't win the 2-turn races like this. And on a big day, you got to think the track's going to be really fast. It typically plays that way. There is a forecast for a tiny bit of moisture Saturday and into Sunday, but it's like light rain and like 15-20% chance of rain. So we're not going to look at an off track, but a little bit of moisture in the track tightens it up and makes it even faster. So I think it'll be a fast track that kind of makes it tough on the Senor Buscadors and the O'Connors and some of those horses that want to come from farther back. I think they've got a good shot to hit the board. But if you're going to win the Pegasus World Cup here, Jeff, I think you're going to be amongst the first, 3-4 down the backstretch. And I think I'm pretty sure this stat is in the wager guide, but I'm doing it off the top of my head. I think all 7 winners of this race have been within 3 lengths of the lead at the half-mile mark. Nobody has closed to win this race. So I think that's the magic mark. If you're about 3 lengths off the lead, you might get a really good trip.
No question about it. That's true at Gulfstream and most tracks, really. I think I would say that from a gambling standpoint, Senor Buscador at 20-1, I could see him clunk up and get a piece of it, third or fourth, or maybe, I don't know. It depends on how fast they go the first part. Yeah. So for me, First Mission is absolutely the trip horse. There's no getting around it.
Yeah.
He's been finishing really fast, but that's a function of going really slow the first part. Right. So I don't know how fast they're going to be and whether First Mission will be able to accelerate into a teeth of a really hot pace. Mm-hmm. He's never really had to do that. But he's only had a handful of starts. He's got upside, maybe the others don't have. He's 7-2. That's spot what you expect. But it's a fascinating race, not only because there are some price chances, but because we don't really know how this race is going to shape up. They could go to the clubhouse turn and how many times have you seen, this is going to be blazing pace, and they go 24-2, 48? You don't know. You just don't know. And that makes this race really challenging from a handicapping standpoint. So, anyway, great race. Can't wait to see it.
One thing about this race that will probably increase the sense of urgency, it's worth $3 million.
Yeah.
You can wait around in an $80,000 allowance race where you think the pace is going to be something. For $3 million, let's get into it, and I think that might force the pace a little bit in here. Yeah. If you want more opinions on the Pegasus World Cup and why not, be sure to check out the Pegasus World Cup wager guide. Again, go to news.first.com and you can check it out there. You can also go to the Express Bet and get the links to the wager guide there. We've got more than a dozen handicappers providing their top picks for the Pegasus World Cup. Eddie Olczyk takes this race on in depth. He's not picking the horse Jeff and I pick, and he's taking a price. So be sure to check out the wager guide and get Edzo's final pick for the Pegasus World Cup. $3 million coming up on Saturday. It'll be race number 13, wrap up the card at Gulfstream Park. It's also going to wrap up and be the anchor leg to that $5,000 late pick 4 and the $5,000 late pick 5, part of those $20,000 in hit and split. Also part of the Beat the Host contest, right, Jeff Siegel? Final 5 races at Gulfstream, first 5 races at Santa Anita. So you're going to get all these races we just handicapped here. These final 5 on the card at Gulfstream are part of Beat the Host. So you kind of know where Jeff's leaning already. You got a little advantage this week going head-to-head with the Master. Yeah. See if any of his picks change. He'll have his final picks in for post time of each race in the contest section, but I think he's probably pretty firm with what he's looking at to this point. We've got one more race to handicap for you because we always give you 8. We're not going to shortchange you with just 7 big money races at Gulfstream. We've got one more for you on the program. It's the San Pasqual from Santa Anita. That will be race number 8 on the card Saturday, 1 1/8 miles. prep here in this Grade 2 race for $200,000 towards March's edition of the Santa Anita Handicap. A couple horses in here, Jeff, that you might have seen in the Pegasus World Cup. Stiletto Boy is in this race. He was in the Pegasus World Cup the past couple years. And New Grange for Phil D'Amato was part of the invitees for the Pegasus World Cup, but opted to stay here at Santa Anita. Those are the big names. New Grange. You also have New Gate in this race. Stiletto Boy. Pretty good field of 8 in here for the San Pasquale.
And that's the key. They got 8 horses. I mean, that's really, that's doing some work here, because these are horses that are second level horses. But I don't think Newgate's a second level horse. I think he's a really, really good horse. And I thought his comeback race in the allowance race, a race won by Big City Lights, who was a really good horse himself, was terrific, considering he hadn't been out since 11 months previous when he won the Bob Lewis Stakes. He earned a triple-digit buyer number, which was one of the best figures at that time for 3-year-olds. Then he got hurt and had to disappear. But he came back as good as he left, and he's working really well. I think he's not the favorite. He's 3-1 in the morning line. I think he's going to be favored, but if he's not, all the better. And I think Newgate, to me, there's a really good chance that he turns out to be Bob's best older handicap horse this year. Here he is on the outside. This was since his last race, so he came out of the race in great shape. He's going to work a half and 47-1, and he's just ears are up, just galloping along, never asked to drop, just coasting here through the lane. I mean, this is a sharp, eager horse. That's a good workhorse he's working with, and Flying Drummer, good younger horse. And I don't know. To me, I think New Grange is going to stretch out. I don't know if Newgate. I don't know whether if Newgate is going to be a 1.25 mile type horse. I don't think he's got that kind of style. I think he'd rather be a miler, maybe middle distance, certainly a 1.16 miles. Should be within his range. 1.8 miles, I hope it will be. And that's the only concern I have, that Newgate may not be quite as good at 1.8 miles. But I'm going to give him a chance at 3-1 if I can get it to win the San Pasquale. Good colt, lightly raced in a mischief colt who has a chance to be very productive this year.
And Godspeed to Frank Miramati calling this race with Newgate and New Grange right next to each other in the starting gate. They are hard to keep apart in the mind. Frankie Dettori, the regular rider for Newgate, of course, is in Florida to ride on Pegasus World Cup Day. So Joel Rosario picks up the mount on Newgate. Not a whole lot of changes, though. We don't have a lot of SoCal riders going to Pegasus Day. Really, Dettori, the only one to really change up throughout the course of the card. When you look, Flavian Pratt riding on the East Coast as well. But you've got Rosario, you've got Hernandez, you've got Mike Smith all riding on the West Coast. A lot of times the jocks room will be emptied on a day like this, with everybody heading out of town. But a lot of the A riders are still at Santa Anita for Saturday. That should make for some formidable handicapping as you take a look at those cards. So we've got 8 races in the books for you for this Saturday. Jeff's handicapping selections here. You can also pick up his handicapping on the website at ExpressBet and FirstBet, and of course Santa Anita and XBTV as well, as he takes you through everything you need to know for Santa Anita each and every day. And Jeff, you and I are going to look at Sunday's carryover or mandatory payoff in the Rainbow Six at Gulfstream Park. So we've got another handicapping video to put out this week yet. Sunday's Gulfstream Park mandatory payout in the Rainbow Six. Still got to get through a couple days to make sure it doesn't get hit before there's a massive carryover, but it's already well up over $600,000. We could be looking at close to $1 million in the carryover, because I think they're going to really bet into it on Pegasus World Cup Day. So you and I've got a lot of work to do still yet this week.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of work already. I mean, I got my What You Need to Know column for Friday, which is today at Santa Anita. We'll have it Saturday and Sunday as well. I've also been inspired to do a full card analysis and wagering strategies for the Pegasus, the entire card at Gulfstream Park Saturday. I will upload that later this afternoon, and so you can get a head start on that. I mean, this is an enhanced version too. I mean, this. Nice. I really went to town on that. Got the latest listing of our horses that make eye-catching workout sheets. We've got a couple, 2-3 running this weekend, Jeremy. So check that out. That's been uploaded and updated for today. So yeah, I mean, the information's there. It's all at expressbet.com. It's also at santanita.com and xptv.com. So there's places where you can find it. And I'm geeked. I'm ready to roll. Let's do it.
You think you could beat this guy and beat the host the way he's working this week, folks? I don't know. I mean, he's outworking me and making me look like a sloth. So I'll tell you what, you've got your work cut out for you in the Beat the Host contest on Saturday. Again, just a $50 tournament to play, five $10 win bets, final 5 races at Santa Anita, or final 5 races at Gulfstream, first 5 races at Santa Anita. Go head-to-head, beat Jeff's total. Again, play for $60,000 in seasonal prizes. And again, we want to wish best of luck to the high rollers out there as well who are playing this weekend in the Pegasus World Cup betting championship. Huge tournament there. We host at ExpressBet online. The best place to play handicapping tournaments online, obviously, in the pari-mutuel game is ExpressBet. So a lot of great offerings for you. Give you a chance, again, look at that schedule of the races we handicap, but the tournaments that we have this weekend, starting today with the super low ratio qualifier, $1,000 handicapping tournament at Gulfstream to get you into tomorrow's Pegasus World Cup betting championship. That $5,000 handicapping contest is tomorrow. Just $50 in Beat the Host. And then if you want to play on Sunday, we got another big handicapping tournament, the Gulfstream Challenge, for $1,250. So what a great opportunity to play the handicapping contest this weekend. That's going to wrap up this edition of the First Call Podcast. Thanks for listening on all our audio channels. If you're watching on Twitter, if you're watching on X and YouTube, be sure to share this, like it, follow us, and we do it each and every week. For those of you watching inside the first Pegasus Wager Guide, thank you. We appreciate you going and accessing the guide and taking advantage of all that great information. And we hope you come back and play the races with us sometime soon. Jeff and I, still this weekend, will give you a look at Sunday's Gulfstream mandatory payout in the Rainbow Six on Sunday. On behalf of everybody with First Bet, Gulfstream, Santa Anita, the Maryland Jockey Club, Golden Gate Fields, and more, he's Jeff Siegel. I'm Jeremy Plonk. Have a great weekend, everybody. Good luck in the Pegasus.